Somewhere right now, someone is sitting in a parked car. The engine is off. The radio is silent. They're staring at nothing in particular. Maybe a tree, maybe a storefront, maybe just the dashboard in front of them. They're not crying. They're not screaming. They're just sitting there. And this is the worst day of their life. Not because something exploded, not because the world ended in some visible, dramatic way, but because something inside them finally gave out. Something they've been holding together for months, maybe years, and now it's gone. You wouldn't know it if you walked past their car. You wouldn't see it on their face if you saw them later at the grocery store or the gas station. They'll still smile if someone asks how they're doing. They'll still say fine because that's what you say. But right now, in this moment, they are breaking. And the strange thing is, this is happening all the time, everywhere, to people you'll never meet, people you've passed on the street this morning, people sitting 3 tables away from you in a coffee shop. The worst days don't announce themselves. They don't come with sirens or warnings. They just arrive, quietly, like a shift in the air pressure that only one person can feel. We talk about tragedy like it's something rare, something that happens to other people, in other places, in news stories we scroll past. But the truth is, tragedy is constant. It's just mostly invisible. Right now, someone is realizing something they can't unrealize. Someone is losing something they can't get back. Someone is sitting alone in a room they thought they'd never be alone in, and no one knows. No one will ever know, because we don't talk about these days. We don't have language for them. We have language for birthdays and promotions and weddings and vacations. We have entire industries built around celebrating the good days, but the worst days, those we carry in silence. This isn't about feeling sorry for anyone. It's not about sadness as a spectacle. It's about recognition, about understanding that beneath the surface of normal life, beneath the polite conversations and the routines and the predictable rhythms, there is a kind of quiet devastation happening all the time. And maybe you know this already. Maybe you've had one of those days yourself, or maybe it's today, maybe it's right now. Either way, you're not alone in it. You're just alone in the specific shape of it, the specific weight of it, the specific silence of it. And that's where we begin. There's a particular kind of breaking that doesn't show. It's not visible. It's not dramatic. It doesn't involve anyone else, necessarily. It's just you, sitting somewhere, realizing that the story you've been telling yourself about your life, the one that made sense, the one that held together, doesn't work anymore. And you don't know what to do with that, because the thing about the worst days is that they're not usually caused by a single event. They're the result of accumulation, of small compromises, of little losses, of things you ignored because you had to, because everyone does, because life doesn't stop for your doubts. You keep going, you keep showing up, you keep playing the part, and then one day, for no reason you can name, you can't anymore. It's not that something happened, it's that nothing happened, nothing changed, and that's the problem. You're standing in the same place you were a year ago, 5 years ago, and the future you were waiting for, the one where things would finally feel different, feel right, feel like they meant something, that future never arrived. And now you're starting to suspect it won't. This is the worst day, because it's the day you stop believing in the story, the day the momentum runs out, the day you look around and realize you don't know why you're doing any of this. And the terrifying part is that no one else notices. Your life, from the outside, looks exactly the same. You still go to work, you still answer texts, you still function, but inside, something fundamental has shifted. And you're the only one who knows. There's a loneliness in that, a specific kind of isolation, because you can't explain it to anyone. How do you tell someone that nothing is wrong, but everything feels wrong? How do you say that you're fine, but you're also not fine at all, and you don't know which one is true? You can't, so you don't. You just sit with it. You carry it. You get used to the weight of it, the way you get used to anything if you carry it long enough. And maybe this is what modern life is, not the bright, polished version we see online, not the curated moments and the highlight reels, but this, the quiet unraveling, the invisible breaking, the days when nothing happens and everything changes. We're surrounded by people, and yet we're all experiencing this alone. We're connected to everyone, and yet we've never been more isolated. We have more ways to communicate than ever before, and yet we can't say the things that matter. And so we just keep going. We keep pretending. We keep holding it together until we can't. There's a strange paradox in modern life. We have more choices than any generation in history, more freedom, more possibility, and yet we feel more trapped than ever. You can be anyone, do anything, go anywhere. At least, that's what we're told. The world is open. The future is unwritten. You just have to choose. But what no one tells you is that infinite choice is paralyzing. Because if you can be anyone, then who are you? If every path is possible, then how do you know which one is right? If there are no rules, no structures, no clear answers, then how do you make a decision without wondering if you made the wrong one? You don't. You can't. So you freeze, or you pick something arbitrarily, or you follow someone else's path, because at least it's a path. And then one day you wake up and realize you've been living a life you didn't choose. You've been following a script you didn't write. You've been moving forward without ever stopping to ask where you're going or why. And that's when the worst day arrives. Not because something went wrong, but because you realize that nothing went right either. You realize that you've been waiting for your life to start, and in the meantime, it's been happening without you. This is the anxiety of our time, not the fear of failure, not the fear of danger, but the fear that we're missing something, that we're doing it wrong, that everyone else has figured it out and we haven't. We look around and see people who seem certain, people who seem happy, people who seem like they know what they're doing, and we wonder what's wrong with us. Why don't we feel that way? Why don't we have that clarity? Why does everything feel like a performance, a guess, a gamble? The truth is, most people don't feel certain either. They just hide it better. They've just learned to keep moving, keep choosing, keep pretending they know what they're doing, because the alternative is unbearable. The alternative is admitting that you don't know, that you're scared, that you're just as lost as everyone else. And so we build identities, we build careers, we build routines, we build lives that look like lives. But underneath, there's always the question, the quiet, gnawing question. Is this it? Is this what I wanted? Is this who I am? And most of the time, we don't let ourselves ask it. We distract ourselves. We stay busy. We scroll. We work. We consume. We move. But then comes the worst day. The day when the distractions stop working. The day when the question becomes too loud to ignore. And you're left sitting there, alone with yourself, trying to figure out what any of this means. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Most of life is invisible. The moments that define us, the decisions that shape us, the struggles that break us, they almost never happen in public. They happen in quiet rooms, in long drives, in the space between waking up and getting out of bed. They happen in the mind, in the body, in places no one else can see. And because they're invisible, we assume they don't matter. We assume that what matters is what shows, what produces, what achieves. But the truth is, the invisible moments are the ones that matter most. The moment you realize you're not happy, the moment you decide to stay anyway, the moment you stop believing in something you used to believe in, the moment you choose to keep going even though you don't know why. These are the moments that define you, not the ones on your resume, not the ones in your photos, not the ones you'll talk about at parties, the quiet ones, the unseen ones, the ones you carry alone. And here's the thing, everyone is carrying something. The person next to you on the train, the person in line at the store, the person who seems like they have it all together. They're carrying something too. Maybe it's grief, maybe it's regret, maybe it's fear, maybe it's just the weight of being alive, of having to keep going, of not knowing if any of this means anything. We're all walking around with invisible burdens, and we're all pretending we're not, because that's what we do. We perform normalcy, we perform stability, we perform okayness, even when we're breaking, especially when we're breaking. And maybe that's why the worst days feel so isolating, because you're going through something enormous, something that feels like it's swallowing you whole, and yet to everyone else, you just look like a person, just another face in the crowd. They don't know you're having the worst day of your life, they can't know, and you can't tell them, because how do you put it into words? How do you explain the specific texture of your pain, the specific shape of your fear, the specific silence of your despair? You can't. Language fails, connection fails, understanding fails, and so you're alone with it. Not because no one cares, not because no one would help, but because some things can't be shared, some things can only be felt, and so you feel them, alone, in the invisible spaces, in the quiet moments, and somehow, you keep going. There's a pattern to these invisible moments, a rhythm. It's not linear, it's not predictable, but it's there. You build something, a life, a routine, a sense of self. You build it slowly, carefully, without even realizing you're doing it. And then, one day, it doesn't hold. Maybe it collapses, maybe it just cracks, maybe it just stops making sense, and you're left standing in the rubble, trying to figure out what to do next. This is the cycle. Build, break, rebuild, and every time it breaks, it feels like the first time. It feels catastrophic. It feels like you're the only person this has ever happened to, but you're not. This is just what it means to be alive, to be human, to exist in a world that doesn't offer guarantees or clear answers or permanent stability. We want to believe that if we just do the right things, make the right choices, follow the right path, we'll be safe, we'll be happy, we'll be okay. But life doesn't work like that. Life is uncertainty. Life is change. Life is the constant process of losing and finding and losing again. And the worst days are just part of that process. They're not failures. They're not punishments. They're just what happens when the old structure stops working and the new one hasn't formed yet. It's the in-between, the liminal space, the void, and it's terrifying because in that space, you have no identity, no direction, no sense of who you are or where you're going. You're just a person, sitting somewhere, wondering what comes next. And maybe nothing comes next. Maybe there's no grand reveal, no moment of clarity, no sudden understanding. Maybe you just keep sitting there, and then, eventually, you get up, you keep going, not because you figured it out, not because you feel better, but because that's what you do. You keep going. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all there is. Not meaning, not purpose, not answers, just the act of continuing, of showing up, of carrying the weight, even when you don't know why. There's a quiet kind of courage in that, a courage we don't celebrate, don't even acknowledge, the courage to keep going when nothing makes sense, the courage to live with uncertainty, the courage to exist in the invisible spaces, alone with your doubts and your fears and your questions. And maybe that's what connects us, not our successes, not our achievements, not the polished versions of ourselves we present to the world, but this, the invisible struggle, the quiet breaking, the worst days we never talk about. We're all having them, we're all carrying them, we're all just trying to make it through. And maybe knowing that doesn't make it easier, but maybe it makes it a little less lonely. Right now, someone is having the worst day of their life. You'll never know who they are. You'll never see it. You'll never see it. You'll never be able to help. And that's not a tragedy. That's just the truth. We can't save each other. We can't fix each other. We can't even really understand each other. Not fully. We're all locked inside our own experiences, our own perspectives, our own private suffering. And yet, somehow, we're all connected by the fact that we're all going through this, by the fact that we're all carrying something, by the fact that we're all just trying to figure out how to keep going. There's no resolution to this, no lesson, no takeaway, just the recognition that this is happening, that it's always happening, that beneath the surface of normal life, there is a constant, invisible current of breaking and rebuilding, of losing and searching, of falling apart and somehow holding together. And maybe that's all we need to know. Not how to fix it, not how to avoid it, just that it's there, that it's real, that it's shared. Someone is having the worst day of their life right now, and tomorrow, it might be you, or it might be me, or it might be neither of us, and we'll just keep going, carrying whatever we're carrying, invisible and alone and somehow still here. And that's enough. It has to be.